Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we're gonna make a German bread, aka Bauernbrot, but this recipe is for basically every bread you can make. The ingredients are very simple. This 340 milliliter of lukewarm water, half a tablespoon salt, 42 gram of yeast, 1 tablespoon honey, 500 gram flour, and 3 tablespoons of olive oil. The thing is, you can use half of the yeast, which means 21 gram of yeast, but they sell it just 42 grams of yeast, so I just put the entire thing because otherwise it gets wasted. I don't use that much yeast, and it totally works. Doesn't matter, really how much gram of yeast it is. The important thing here is that the water has to be lukewarm, so I put it on the kettle and just let it go for 20 seconds at best, because yeast likes very lukewarm water. And then I add my honey. This is a trick that I learned from making focaccia, which is an Italian bread. Normally you should, maybe not should, but you can put sugar in it, but I like to put honey because it makes it pretty soft in my opinion. And then here goes my salt. Another important thing is you shouldn't add much salt. Even though it's pretty big bread, it gets really salty. So in my opinion, and I like my stuff very salty, I put half of tablespoon of salt, maximum. And after that, you just have to mix it till the yeast is dissolved in this beautiful water. So yeah, after the yeast is dissolved, of course, you add your flour and mix it really well. So this looks like this. Looks like a kind of, you shouldn't see any yeast particles of it. You just have to mix it really well. We add our flour, of course. So that's 1 kilo, and we need half of that. So I add it as I go. I added a little bit just to see how sticky it gets, and the mixture shouldn't be very sticky. It has to hold a form. So I added up around 500 grams in here. So as I say, I added up as I go, which is important step in here. You just shouldn't plunk all the flour into the mixture. So yeah, I mix it really well, and at some point, if it really starts to holding a form, I just leave the mixer out and do a hand kneading. Another important thing when making a bread is you shouldn't really knead the bread too much, because otherwise it doesn't get that fluffy in my opinion. I leave the mixer out of it, the hand mixer or whatever it is, I don't know what it's called. So you knead it a little bit just to get all the flour mixed in really well, so it doesn't end up very clumpy inside. And yeah, you mix it up nicely, and it shouldn't stick to your hand like that. If it sticks to your hand like that, add more flour, which is really important. So you see, I make the bread eat the flour, and I sort of like to put it a little bit down so it doesn't stick at the bottom of it. So after you're done mixing the bread, you just add 3 tablespoons of olive oil or oil of your choice. You can also use sunflower oil, which is doesn't really matter which oil you use. I like to use olive oil. And you don't put it inside of the bread, you rub it all over it. So yeah, that's how I do it. So I also put it a little on the sides and on the bottom, and just try to make it pretty pretty, I guess you can say. So it has to look flat at the top, and really rub it down, just massage the bread, but not really kneading it, if you know what I'm saying. So yeah, after doing that, I just make a little holes and it looks like this. So this is looking perfection. While it's doing its job, while the yeast is like making the bread grow and grow and grow, I put some water in a container like this, like called baklava, I think. And then you put it in the oven, because you need to bake the bread with a little water inside. So I set my oven really well, and after the bread is risen, I put it in my Dutch oven. As you can see, I got that from our place, pretty big, holds the bread pretty well, and voila, here you see my bread is double the size, which is amazing. I just add parchment paper and put a little flour on it so it doesn't stick on the paper. I mean, it's not like it's gonna stick, but I like to add a little bit of flour. I also think that it tastes better when I do it like that. So you see me here just making sure the flour on the parchment paper is distributed well and evenly. And after that, I just take out my bread and put it on the parchment paper. Easy as it is, and it looks so fluffy. Oh my goodness, so good. So you don't knead it, as I said, you don't do it, you just make sure that it looks pretty enough, and then you just plonk it on your Dutch oven. That's basically it. Just make sure that you grip it well, the parchment paper, because it's pretty slippery. And next, what I do is I cut the parchment papers, like extra parchment paper around the bread, because then the heat goes better and makes it more crunchy, in my opinion. After I do that, I put a little bit more flour on top and make some pretty shapes, basically. That's me pouring the last flour for the bread and distributing it pretty nicely and well on top of the bread. You don't really have to use too much flour in this, which is pretty nice, but I like to use it a little bit more. And you get a really sharp knife just to make some nice and cute shapes. You just do whatever you want. I always go with the flow. I never check before what I'm gonna do. It's like nice stripes, just makes it pretty cute. So this is me trying to make it pretty cute. It doesn't have to be really complicated, or you don't have to just stab your bread that much. It's just what I do. And after stabbing the bread, it looks like this. It's very cute, it's perfect, and it's ready to go to the oven. So you put the lid on, make sure that your lid won't melt, like if it's silicone or anything. You just put it on in the oven with the water inside, and the lid has to be on for approximately half an hour, and you bake it at 180 degrees. After half an hour, I take the lid off and put the bread inside again and let it bake for another half an hour. And after it's done, I take it out and it looks like this. It looks like a bread, it looks like a very professionally made bread. But there you go, it's very pretty easy, and I hope you like it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.